walks up to me and he looks at me and goes, "This game's the worst." And I was like, a normal response would be like, "Hey, it's okay, buddy. You don't know." I wanted to run off and cry. Yeah, I don't know too many people who say, "I think I just pray too much."
No, I've never heard anyone say that.
Retroactive prayer.
I don't know what that means. Is that a dance move?
How many words do you know, Aidan? what in the world?
You were like the police on language, and yet your vocabulary is incredibly small. So, hey there. Welcome to another episode of the Don't Just Sit There podcast. I'm Ryan.
I'm Aidan.
This episode is a Q&A episode, and so our job is to offer up our best A's to the Q's that come in.
Mm-hmm. I got a Q.
Yeah.
A lighter Q before we get into heavier Q's that require heavier A's.
What do you got?
What do you predict? We're recording this well before the Husker football season starts. What do you
June, what is it, to 26?
It's July, dude.
July. Sorry. July.
It's July 22nd.
It's October 7th.
2025.
I said to someone the other day, I was like, I thought you were going to be gone till July 18th. And he goes, it's July 20th.
Yeah, correct. Correct, Ryan.
Yes. So what's the date?
Today is July 22nd, 2025, the year of our Lord.
In July 22nd.
We have a month and 9 days until Husker football goes on the road. Neutral site game. Are you going to it? Against Cincinnati.
It's August 28th, isn't it?
31st. No, it's Labor Day weekend. 4 days. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday,
Thursday
Monday.
night. It's a Thursday night.
5 days of college football. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, what's my prediction on the season?
Should I
think
read
it's the 28th. August 28th is the game.
Should I read
August 28th at 8 p.m. against the Cincinnati Bearcats.
Yeah. Home game on the road.
Should I read the schedule to you real quick? You say win, loss, win, loss.
No, let's not do that.
Okay.
Too long.
Come back to it at the end.
My prediction would be 8-4. That's my prediction.
Our losses are Penn State, USC. We beat Michigan at home.
We beat Michigan. We lose to Cincinnati. It's going to be so devastating.
That would hurt.
Yeah.
Do we finally beat Minnesota on the road?
Yeah.
On the road.
I don't know.
Did we play them last year?
We're going too long on this, probably.
Yeah. I think we'll go 12-0. And
nice.
Dylan Raiola will win the Heisman. And
National championship.
Yep. And anything less will
I'm
be...
all for it.
I always see...
Devastating.
I see it's about that time to have 18-year-olds dictate my mental health for the next 6 months or something like that. I'm like, that's true.
Yeah.
I'm ready for that.
That's where you live all the time. You're a middle school director.
That's true.
That's true. My life is...
Your life is dictated by teenagers.
Like, I think I told you the story that we were running camp a couple weeks ago, and I was exhausted. I've been working on rec games for forever, and I was playing these games. I'm trying to make the games more fun for people who not very athletic. Yeah. And a kid walks up to me, and he looks at me and goes, "This game's the worst." And I was like, a normal response would be like, "Hey, it's okay, buddy. You don't know." I wanted to run off and cry.
Did you really?
I was just like, I quit. I told Tyler, I'm like, this is the worst. I hate doing rec games and I'm done. Yeah. He's like, he's 12. He doesn't know everything. I'm like, yeah, but he didn't like my game. So what's the point?
That's what Tyler said.
Yeah. He's like, he doesn't know the whole story. I'm like, yeah, you're right. So yeah, my mental health fluctuates, not by God, but by the opinions of middle schoolers.
You're like, I put my blood and my sweat and my tears into this game where you run around and you throw a ball that leaves ink on someone's t-shirt. How dare you? How dare you criticize the amount of time and energy I put into that?
No, it was the game where they would eat a bag of Takis, run across the field, and then drink a LaCroix, it was pretty much a puke fest, but no one puked. And they're like, this is the worst game I'm ever. I'm like, what else do you want, Jimmy?
I think I'd have said that's the point.
Yeah.
I think I'd have been like, thank you.
Yeah. It hurt so bad. Never.
How'd you recover from that?
Did I talk to you about it?
I don't know.
Somebody.
I don't know.
I said, cancel me through this. They said, hey, they don't know why you did this game. Because I think they're the kind of person that's like, I want to run around for hours. It's like,
didn't talk to me. You didn't talk to me about this because you know what I would have said?
You said, like,
I would have been like, that's hilarious.
Yeah, you'd been like, you're soft.
Let's move on.
Yeah. Or I was playing NCAA with your son and he's like, you're bad at this game. And I'm like, don't say that. Like, it's got all emotional. And he was shocked. He's like, are you actually sad by that comment? I'm like, yeah, that kind of hurt my feelings. He's like, it's a video game. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of... I'm sensitive. I'll boast in it. I'll boast.
Boast in your sensitivity.
Yeah. A couple of years ago, I wouldn't have. And then I realized I am. Anyways, nobody cares.
Hey, what's the countdown for the due date here? How long?
Oh, for baby.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. What are we going to do without? Oh, we have
I have a plan
Oh, yeah.
to a certain degree.
Baby's due August 20th. So
August
we're
20th. Okay.
coming up. Sophie has an appointment today.
Less than a month.
Right now, Sophie's going to an appointment at 11 o'clock.
Oh, man.
I should be there, but I said this podcast needs me.
It's dedication.
Dedication.
Thank you.
This podcast needs me. So August 20th, baby's due. We got the nursery ready. We spent so much money on everything. We're ready to go.
What is it about this podcast that makes me want to belch always?
I know. I think it's the way when I lean forward, I'm the same way.
Is it because I'm not slouching? I slouch
Yeah.
constantly. So maybe it's sitting upright.
Yeah.
You could also just be like more aware of it than you would be in like your
No,
regular
don't bring
life.
logic into this, Marshall.
Okay,
It's because
never
we're
mind.
sitting.
Yeah, because the way you're sitting, you burp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just looked it up.
That's the answer.
Yeah.
All right. Let's load up with a question here. Number one, we need to say we don't have that many questions.
Don't tell them that because then they think no one's listening to our podcast.
Well, those who are listening need to send in questions.
You 5 people, send more questions.
We're getting low on questions, so we need to kind of refill the pipeline, right? We need to load up on questions. So if you have questions, serious, not serious, trying to stump us, anything goes, really. And so send them in because it's way more fun when you all are creating the questions and not us. So we have a couple. We have a couple questions. So Marshall's gonna
read us one, Marshall.
lob us a question.
Okay, here's a question for you. Is it okay, speaking of the Huskers, is it okay to pray for something that's maybe more frivolous, like your sports team of choice?
Define frivolous.
He just did, like your sports team of choice is what he said.
That's not the definition of frivolous. Something that's.
Oh, you mean like what's the word frivolous mean?
What did you think I meant? Oh, you meant like an
I thought you
example
meant
of
what's an
frivolous?
example of frivolous.
No, what is? I don't know vocabulary of your word.
What's frivolous mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like not important.
What's the dictionary definition, Marshall?
No
frivolous,
consequence.
not having any serious purpose or value.
Okay, so sports wouldn't apply to that. Bad example. It's okay to pray for things that don't really have. Give another example. I would say like finding a parking spot.
I don't know. What do you do? Do you pray about those things?
My mom always does.
Yeah.
She's like, all right, Lord Jesus, give us a parking spot. Like, it's funny because she prays for everything, which is really cool. We grew up in this small town, Milford. I'm not okay. Stop laughing. This is serious. And every time they need to deploy or deploy the fire department, they have a siren that goes off, like when there's an emergency. That's how they kind of wake up the volunteer fire department.
Okay.
And every time it go, my mom would be like, Lord, be with those people. Like it was a sweet prayer.
Yeah.
It's not funny.
What are you even laughing about right now?
It's just
that's
like,
actually really amazing.
yeah.
Way to go, Kelly.
Good job, Kelly. I would love if you said her name wrong right there.
Yeah.
Good job, Joanne.
Yeah.
Like that.
That's a guy. Well, let's
not
let's
frivolous.
just go with what your mom is doing there. I mean, I heard I think it was Willard said once that a good indication of where your mind's at and your attentiveness to God and his kingdom is what do you do when you drive by a traffic accident? And he's like, that's a time to invoke the kingdom, to ask God to be working in that, you know.
Prayer, I think Willard has too. Prayer is talking to God about what you're doing together.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I watch a lot of sports. So
I don't think there's anything. The question would be, how do you pray about sports? Maybe.
Have you ever prayed for a Husker sport? You have to. Like, didn't you go to the Orange Bowl or something? And
I went to the Rose Bowl. I think everyone who cares about sports has offered up a prayer. Now the question is whether or not the Lord answers those prayers.
Wouldn't it be wild if he did?
Yeah, it would. But the hard thing is, so if we say prayer is talking with God about what we're doing together, the idea would be, well, can I enjoy his presence as I'm watching a game? And the answer should be, yeah, of course. So then can I talk with him about that? Yeah. Does he care about the outcome? Probably not.
How dare you?
Yeah, I know. Do you think he cares about the outcome of a game?
No.
It's
hard, especially in America, because kind of everywhere, but sports is religion, dude.
Yeah.
So yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to think of other things besides sports, like a parking spot or getting my order right when I go to the drive-thru. Well, food might be different. Yeah, I think it seems people who are like, God doesn't care about that. Why would you pray about that? Also would be like, so don't really bring God into your life. Just pray for the big stuff. When someone's dying. Like I had a teacher tell me in high school, they were teaching on evolution. So I was like, let's talk about this. And she was great, but she's like, I wouldn't pray driving home, God protect me from the storm that's coming while I'm driving, get me home safely. Like, that's selfish. And I'm like, well, at the time I was like, wow, that's a bummer if your safety is selfish to be asked for, to be insured.
I think maybe a question I'd want to throw back at that person if they are here is, are you only praying about your sports team? Because it seems like if what we're talking about is entering into a life of continuous prayer, right? I mean, Paul says, pray without ceasing. That's what your mom kind of exemplified that in that case. Is like, hey, I'm going to turn to the Lord. Yeah. If we're always turning our mind to the Lord and we're seeking to be in conversation with him about everything, then it certainly would make perfect sense that I'm also praying about whatever I'm doing. So if I'm watching a game, I'm talking to the Lord about it at times.
Seems like we view prayer as like only petitioning and asking. So it's like, if prayer is more than that, it's like, hey, God, like, thanks for enjoy this game with me. This is fun.
Yeah, but my question would be, like, when it comes to asking, is it, on any given week, am I only asking about the upcoming game against Cincinnati, or am I in constant conversation with the Lord, and I'm just letting him know, hey, this is the desire of my heart, and I want to bring it before you? Because I think if we'd say, of all the things I could be praying for, if the only thing I'm praying for is a sports win, I think I'd probably say I don't know that I'm thinking big enough about the life that God's called me to. But if I'm engaged in talking with God about everything, then certainly I want to be talking with him about the frivolous things. Right. Now, I'm not saying, and maybe for some people, the way they're going to usher themselves into a life of bigger prayers by actually praying about the frivolous things. Maybe that'd be praying about a parking spot. I don't think there's anything frivolous about that. I think it's great. But I think the question becomes, if the only time I'm praying is on the 12 Saturdays a year that my team is playing, and that's really where I become very fervent in prayer, that's probably prayer as a mechanism, not prayer as a relationship,
Yeah, I don't know too many people who say, I think I just pray too much.
No, I never heard anyone say that.
Didn't Billy Graham, when he was dying, they asked him something like, what do you look back?
It sounds like a made up story. Go ahead. It probably is. Maybe it has a good point, but it sounds made up.
You can't stop me before telling the story. Like, what I'm about to say isn't true.
Sorry.
I thought he said something with like, what are some of the biggest regrets you have? And he might have said reading the Bible more, but I thought he said I didn't pray enough. Is that made up? Is that a silly story?
Could be. Marshall's going to tell us in a second.
Having a hard time finding it.
Also, that quote, I quoted something to you that said, God whispers in our victory, blah, 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 blah. That was C.S. Lewis, dude. And you were like, nah, I don't know about that.
I don't even know what you're talking about right now.
There's a quote that I said to you like 4 episodes ago. And I was like, it was about suffering or something. It was like, God yells in our suffering, whispers in our blah, blah, blah. God's voice is loudest. And I looked up that quote this morning. I'm like, oh, C.S. Lewis. And I didn't know. And I did.
Well, good job.
I thought he said that. all to say is like you're saying.
That's a good point. I mean, no one. I don't know anybody that says they pray too much.
Yeah, but yeah. It's kind of like the idea is, if your problem is don't pray for that, pray for other stuff. It's like no, just pray about anything.
Well,
A posture. If you're worried about like praying for the right things, it's like just maybe like you said, like starting out, pray for a small thing. Pray for like God, help this McDonald's somehow nourish me. That's it's not going to do anything, but let's just try that.
Now, a question would be like, would we say that if we're watching the game, I mean, there's two levels of prayer that, I mean, I think often people are praying like, Lord, let the Huskers win.
I know I do.
There's a whole different level of prayer that's about,
there it is. You just belched.
Yeah.
Good turn.
There's a whole different level of prayer that's about like, Lord, man, why does this bother me so much?
If we lose, why will I not be okay?
What's it look like to, if Jesus were sitting here watching this game and how would he watch the game? Would he watch it differently than me? I mean, all that is prayer, and that thought and that conversation with the Lord is prayer. That's a different level of prayer. So I think it just probably depends. I think saying to the Lord, Lord, this week at the dinner table on August 28th, I'm going to pray, Lord, just the Huskers need to win tonight, and we're asking you for a win.
In Jesus' name.
I'm not super on board with that prayer.
Yeah. Can I try to stump you with a prayer question?
Sure.
Does God answer prayers that have already happened? Like, God, help the Amazon package get here right now, and it was there 2 hours ago.
Retroactive prayer.
I don't know what that means. Is that a dance move?
How many words do you know, Aidan? What in the world?
Retroactive means retro.
Yeah.
Active means active.
Yeah.
So retro, it's like the 80s. Is that what we're talking about?
Great.
Retro?
Yeah. So in the 80s, does God answer prayers? Here's an example of what you're saying is that maybe. It is one time Laura and I were watching Bake Off, and there was somebody
Called
else.
what? Bake Off?
Yeah, the Great British Baking Show.
British Bake Off.
Say the whole thing, dude.
The Great British Baking Show. People get it. People understand.
I didn't.
If you know, you know. But we were watching it, and there was one person that she didn't want to win, and there was one person that she really wanted to win. Or like she liked all these people, but one of them she really
And
preferred.
it wasn't live.
No, it's not, because it's weeks. But it was an old season at this point that we were watching. So she's praying like, "Oh man, please let something happen to that person," like just joking. And then that contestant like dropped their cake on the way to put it for judging.
Yeah, did God know that
And
Laura
she was
gonna
like
pray years later?
horrified that she
Her prayer
she felt so
brought
bad.
about that destruction.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's a Lewis thing. That's a Lewis talks about
Prayers of Malcolm or Letters of Malcolm.
I don't remember where he talks about it,
Okay.
but he talks about I think it might be an essay called "Reflections in a Tool Shed." I think that might be where he talks about it. But he talks about how God sees it all, right?
Mm-hmm.
God, if God is outside of time, then God sees the beginning from the end, and so a prayer that's offered here could impact something that happens here. That's kind of Lewis's point, and so the answer would be like, yeah, Lewis's answer would be there's a degree to which a prayer even if something's already transpired. So the taping of the Great British Bake Off.
Taping.
Whatever. Yeah, man, it's
no
fine.
one tapes. No one tapes.
You are a funny version of you are like the police on language, and yet your vocabulary is incredibly small.
Yeah, Ryan chose not to use a modern term out of fear that you wouldn't understand it.
Your vocabulary.
It's constantly.
Don't bully, just bully because
Did you just say tape? Did you just really say tape a show?
What else would I say? I don't know. That's all I know for words.
Record. They recorded.
Record.
Yeah.
What would you say? Would you
Shoot.
Shoot?
Yeah.
When they're shooting?
Mm-hmm.
That's very. That's because you're
He's a podcast.
That's because you're like a movie producer.
Yeah,
Send
it's because
him
it's
in
my
lunch.
it's my actual job.
So
That's fair. Didn't think about that.
That's true. That is what Marshall does.
Yeah.
So
Lewis said, God is not in time. His now is not like our now. If he chooses to answer a prayer at a time before the prayer is made, there's no more backward to him than to answer it 1,000 years after.
right. My issue with that is that if someone has a bit of an obsessive mind,
I don't need to pray at all because God already.
well, that or the opposite. Like, I don't think the timestamp of the thing that I'm praying for should be all past. And it's a weird thing to think. I'm going to start praying. If the Lord sees, I'm going to start praying for what happened in 1476. You know, it's like the Lord put me here. He has me living here. He wants me to be concerned with what is happening here. And so it seems like the content of my prayer should be about what is happening here in my world and what is moving forward, not necessarily what has occurred in the past, you know. So even though God is not time bound, we are. And so the weird thing about Lewis's quote and his idea there is that, you know, someone could start praying a lot of things that's actually already done, and it feels like the thing that should be consuming us is what is in front of us and the work that God has given to us right here, right now, not what's transpired in the past, you know. So
yeah, I feel like the way that I'm reading that more so is just that, like, if I'm praying for something now that, like, I need this thing to pull through or whatever, that there's no reason that God doesn't already know that I'm going to pray for that and could not have already have set things in motion, like, way before I started praying for things to be working out correctly.
No, that's true. I mean, that's absolutely.
So we didn't pray for anything because God already knows.
That's an implication of what Lewis is talking about there.
Sure.
But I think the other thing that's weird is, I mean, I've heard people take that idea and say, okay, so it's okay for me to pray for things in the past because God's outside of time. And it's like, well, I don't really know that that's what we're supposed to be doing. But it's certainly that God's not bound, and he can start to put the pieces in motion that ultimately are going to result in an answer to prayer, you know.
The idea of prayer
is a great mystery, though.
Yeah, prayer is talking to God. That helps me kind of be like, all right. So I didn't really worry about what not to, what to. I'm just engaging with God throughout the day.
Do you ever feel
no?
Because you're younger, and I think there has been there's been a good growth. There's been good growth in the church in terms of understanding, like Jesus loves us. He's our friend. And so we can communicate with him like a friend. But do you ever wonder whether we go too far on that and we lose some of the sense of awe and almost reverence for who he is? You don't ever think about that?
Dude, I was listening to some pastor that you would hate if I'm not saying you're him, but he was saying,
I try not to hate people.
Yeah. There's this pastor that's had this very public kicking out of his church, starts a different church somewhere else, and he was like, God is not your buddy. He's the Lord of Lords. Yeah, dude, I don't know. Maybe I'm like, I seem to walk most. I seem to enjoy God most when I view him as a friend, as a brother. Brother's weird to say. I know it says that in Hebrews or something, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It feels like Jesus is more attractive recently because he's a friend. He's your counselor. He's your he listens to you. He knows you. He wants to walk intimately with you, and he wants to meet you where you're at. So if you don't want to read your Bible, just go on a walk. He'll meet you there, kind of thing. So then there can be this, maybe as a result, like this downplay of like, you don't need to submit stuff. It's like, Joe, just walk with God. He'll meet you wherever you're at. I don't know.
That's true. I'm not saying that. Of course that's true. I think my question is, are there times, have you ever thought about whether we let the pendulum go too far Worship music is another example of this, right? Like worship music, it used to be, it was pretty like triumphant. A mighty fortress is our God. Those kind of things, you know, where it had this kind of this triumphant feel, but it feels like worship music as we've gone has in some ways tried to become like more relatable and help us understand God as a relatable person, which is a good thing because God is a person and he does want us to come to him, and there is a tenderness to him. There's all that kind of stuff. I sometimes wonder though whether the pendulum goes so far to where it's like Jesus is my buddy is a good corrective to Jesus is this unapproachable
judge.
Well, but at what point is it like also how do I approach him with reverence and awe? Like you read the book of Revelation, it's like these elders are around the throne and all they can say is holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty. And they're not, I don't think they're saying it because that's the script they've been given. I think they're saying it because when you're standing in front of someone that is that awe-inspiring, that's the only thing you can say, right? It's like that's just what comes out because that's what they're experiencing. And so at what point is it good to swing the pendulum back a little bit, even personally, and say, he is the king. And as I approach him, it's good to approach him sometimes. I'm not saying always. I'm not saying get rid of Buddy. He is our friend. I can't remember who it is, but someone, I think it might be I grew up in the Christian Missionary Alliance, and they talk about how Jesus is our Savior, teacher, Lord, and friend.
Tis so sweet. That literally says that lyric. Well, can I push back? Like,
yeah, but I'm
reading.
I'm not,
no, you're wrong.
That's good.
But like reading, like in the Gospels of Jesus. Again, maybe I'm totally like overcorrecting, but there seem to be not as many moments. Like the most unclean, unwelcome people were just like drawn to him. I got to touch his cloak. I have to yell out, heal me, like things that they would never do. So there was like something attractive. Like he was approachable to some extent.
Yeah.
So if you're like the moments of him being attractive and drawing people in, compared to moments where they were like, wow, he is holy. Like the transfiguration. I don't think of a lot of moments where, I mean, maybe there might be, where there are a lot of moments where people were like, wow, look how holy Jesus is. Like, there's some moments where they're amazed by his teaching. They're blown away. And I wonder about the whole, like when they went to stone him and they couldn't stone him. Why? Like, I wonder how that worked. But it seemed to be more of the moments was he was more approachable and more, I don't know who this guy is, but I need to grab his cloak. I need to be around him.
Yeah, it's good. That's a good reflection, but that's not all he is. And I think sometimes we try to make that all he is.
Wouldn't he reveal himself if he wanted us to engage with him more as this reverend, holy? This doesn't sound heretical, so we might need to cut this. But wouldn't there have been more moments included in scripture where he was like, I am the Lord, and like I am a reverend, and you need to like, this is holy ground. Like,
I think there are moments where that happened for sure in his life.
But didn't it seem like he was more of like, no, I'm trying to show that God and I are accessible to you. We're near to you. You were able to draw near to us.
Yeah. I just think it's not good. Like there's no distinction. When God shows up in the Old Testament, and it is frightening, that is absolutely true of who God the Son is as well. So it's not like we can say that there's some kind of, well, God showed up. I mean, the danger of thinking that way is it starts to sound like, man, God was so mean and so frightening in the Old Testament. Thank goodness now he's not because of Jesus. That's not true. God has never changed. God is always the same. And so everything that's true of God that was manifested in Jesus and that was revealed in Jesus has always been true of him. And everything that is true of God in the Old Testament is not in any way contradictory to who Jesus is. So there is this aspect, and even in the Old Testament, there's this aspect of God is a comfort, right? We've been reflecting on Psalm 23 all summer, and the Lord is my shepherd was the statement about who God, the creator of the world, Yahweh, was and is. But he also can be terribly frightening because he's incredibly powerful. And so I guess the question is like, it'd be interesting. Like if your best friend became the president, would your best friend cease to be your best friend? I'd say no. But there'd also be an aspect of reverence that comes in that relationship now. It just would be different. And it feels like sometimes we want to emphasize so much that Jesus is my buddy that we forget, man, he is holy. You read the book of Revelation, it's like like how he is going to come doesn't need to stir up fear in us who belong to him, but it certainly is awe-inspiring, I
just wonder if it has to do with anything with the early 2000s, late 90s, maybe, where it's like how God is presented. Or even I'm trying to think of my upbringing too, like, I don't know. Like, it seems to be like all these theological, like when the church fathers would teach about something, it's almost like, hey, like when the Catholic Church was like, hey, church or when the early church was like, no, church is super important. It was almost to overcorrect, like people just didn't really value the church and its structure or its like authority. So it seems like we were swinging too much. Yeah, I wonder if we'll look back and be like, yeah, we've totally downplayed his like holiness and power and revering him. But I just wonder if it's because did my generation grow up being like God is this angry, distant judge, and you have to be obedient, and that's not very appealing to follow.
Did you feel like when you grew up he was an angry, distant judge? I feel like that's more true of our parents' generation than our generation. I notice I said our, like I'm your age.
You're not.
I'm not. But I didn't feel like I grew up in that environment. I feel like I grew up in the late 80s and 90s. That's when church really was, all that is very memorable to me. But it was not Jesus is distant, Jesus is judgmental. God is this angry taskmaster. For sure, I think my parents grew up in that atmosphere. But is that the atmosphere you feel like you grew up in?
No, I have to think about it. I almost wonder more if it was like in college. I dove heavily into like Reformed theology, and it was just like
God was severe, kind of.
Yeah.
Aidan, would you say that maybe like thinking of it, like growing up, maybe thinking very specifically of Jesus and God as two separate entities, is God the one that is very like temperamental and like you just said, severe, and Jesus is like this reaction to that seemingly?
I mean, there are some moments in the Bible where you're like, God is the same today, tomorrow, forever. Yesterday, today, tomorrow. But man, they act different sometimes. Or you perceive that like on a brief reading, you're kind of like,
what would be an example?
Jesus says, love your enemies, like walk a mile with them, give him your coat.
Right.
God is like, we're going to go wipe out in the Canaanite conquest. We're going to wipe out some people. I know there's so many layers to that.
That's an important nuance to that statement. Yeah. Yeah, there are a lot of layers to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little sarcasm.
There is a certain kind of like, again, as the storyteller, like I was talking about earlier, there's a kind of interesting storytelling in the idea of reading this whole Old Testament of God being this giant biblical, I mean, obviously biblical, but in the literary sense of the word, biblical figure who is like all powerful and does these great things and everything, and kind of sets up the Jewish audience hearing these stories and everything to expect that kind of king to be coming. And then when Jesus comes, he is so much a subversion of a lot of those things, even though what they were being taught about who the Savior would be is what Jesus eventually would become. But those larger things are the things that would have stuck in their minds. So then having Jesus show up and be like, here's what we're doing, is like, it catches you in a different kind of way compared to him showing up and just kind of being similar to a Herod or whoever would have been in charge and being a actually very severe and temperamental ruler, the way that sometimes we get this picture of Old Testament, in quote, I'm doing air quotes, you can't see me, in quotes, like Old Testament God, we kind of often see him that way.
Yeah.
I just wonder, like, what's maybe think of a middle schooler. What's more attractive? God is holy. You need to give him your life because he deserves that, or he's worthy of that. Or Jesus has offered you life to do with him now and forever. And they're not different. I think sometimes, again, like everyone's theology intentionally or unintentionally emphasizes certain things about God. It seems like the latter is more attractive. So I don't know if that's
I don't
Where did
disagree.
this conversation go? This is great. This is good.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree that that's a great message. Like
Right.
no one's disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing with that. My question is just like, over time in all of our lives and in the church, I think it's true that we start to, it's like everything can start to, if we're not careful, become a caricature, like an aspect of something becomes oversized or overemphasized. And my question is, Jesus is my buddy is a good corrective to Jesus being totally unapproachable and unrelatable. That's a very good corrective. My only question is, at what point does our faith suffer if we also don't understand and he reigns over everything and sits on a throne and dwells in, God's described as dwelling in unapproachable light, right? Like, I mean, there is this like reverence and awe that is not like reverence and awe is, and even fearing God is reverence and awe. It's like, it's astounding. It's not like I'm terrified, but I am floored at how amazing it is. I just wonder at what point we go too far and we lose some of that. That's my question.
Yeah, I think I don't hear a lot about that in terms of like, God is, I don't know. It's a good question.
I think about,
It's a great question, Ryan.
Hey, thanks. Like, it's not very relatable, but I remember thinking one time I was talking about mentioning this in a message where I was like, like nuclear power can do incredibly good things and it can be incredibly dangerous. And it seems like that's the nature of things that are very powerful. That to me is a little bit of what we see from God in the Old Testament. Is like he is more powerful than we can possibly imagine. So when Israel is approaching Mount Sinai and God's like, don't touch it or else you'll die. There's a way to read that. It's like, man, what a jerk. Oh, how dare he say that kind of thing? There's another way to read it that's like, no, like if you touch something that powerful, you will die. Because that's how powerful it is. It's not that he's lashing out in anger all the time, but it is that if you go grab an electrical wire that's been knocked down during a storm, you probably will die because that's the nature of the power coursing through those wires. And that's a little bit what God is like. And that means I should approach him with some healthy fear. That also is a great comfort to me because the fact that he's that powerful means he can do anything,
Right.
I don't know.
I think maybe there's an aspect also where like Jesus is so kind and so welcoming and everything because he otherwise would maybe be terrifying with the things that he could. I think of everything through the lens of comic books. Like I think about Superman, right? Let's go here.
A truer statement.
Yes.
Has never been said.
Right? I think about Superman, and he's originally a Moses figure, has been turned into kind of a Christ-like figure
Yeah, he's a
over the
Christ-like
years.
figure to me.
Great. But he, like, the character intentionally has to be this kind of very kind and welcoming figure and wears this kind of ridiculous costume on purpose. Because if a guy showed up and could do the things that Superman does and just starts flying around and punching buildings over and stuff like that,
And
that would be
vision
terrifying.
thing.
Yeah, heat vision, that would be terrifying. So he has to actively work against that to be like, no, like, I'm here to be your friend and to take care of you and to protect you. And I know that I can do these things and, you know, maybe have a healthy respect for that and whatever, but also, like, I'm here to be your helper in the case of Jesus, to be the good shepherd.
It's just, dude, it just goes back to like our second episode of like how important our view of God is. Yeah, because it's like holding those things in tension, great. You overemphasize. It's almost like the whole like degree analogy where it's like, if I view God as my buddy primarily, it probably won't hurt me like day in, day out all the time. If I only view it as that, then like I'm gonna eventually kind of maybe get off. Or if I only view him as this really powerful, can't really approach him guy, it's like, oh, there might be some good aspects to that. But if I only do that, I'm gonna be at. So it's like, this is my question. Can I ask some other questions along the lines of this?
Hold on. Can I come back for a second though? Because where we started was prayer.
Yes.
Where we started was prayer. And my question is, like, I know I've seen a pendulum swing in my own life at different times where I went from prayer being super formalized to being more conversational, which I think was a good corrective. I think the question becomes, are there times where I need to have a different corrective? I need to have a corrective that moves it from conversational to maybe a little more formalized. And so going back to sitting and watching a sports game, like, I think it's beautiful to think I'm sitting there and doing that with Jesus. Are there also times that I need to think about maybe coming before his throne and bowing down and putting my face to the ground because he's that powerful and holy? That's appropriate too. And I think I'm just trying to think through how do you balance those out, and how do you not lose the fact that he does want to be our friend and talk to us about everything, but also he's incredibly glorious. And probably, I always think about the fact that when angels show up, everyone thinks they're going to die in the Bible. That's why angels always say, hey, don't be afraid.
Yeah.
Well, they're like, 1/1,000,000th of how glorious he is. And so when we stand before him, there's a reason every knee's going to bow. I think there's going to be a moment where Jesus like shows himself as he actually is to the world, and everyone's like, game's over. Now, some are having to bow just out of sheer being overwhelmed by his might, not because they're so thankful he is who he is, but it's just kind of like, all right, I get it, game's over. And so I'm just trying to figure out, how do we as people hold those two things together? That's my question.
Yeah.
All right, your question.
Well, you kind of already answered it.
Good.
So don't ask, I guess.
So we're going to sit here for a little bit. No, I just think it goes back to like our view of God. And I was thinking about this with the middle schoolers, some of the greenhouse stuff that we're doing. It's like, how do you know what your view of God is? Like, again, because it's like, it just seems like, and maybe I'm just asking for how to do my job better because I'm trying to figure this out with the middle schoolers. But it's like, if I tell the middle schoolers, tell me 5 things about God, they'll give me all the answers. I do think if they say loving, kind, approachable, then it could be like, oh, so you don't view him as holy, whatever, to be revered, to be Paul revered.
Nice.
Nice.
Nice. The British are coming,
good.
is what he said.
To be
That
Paul
was good.
revered.
That was a little bit of a Chick and Nick.
Yeah.
Oh, was it?
And Aidan's got a Chick and Nick mug.
I was looking at that and thinking that we need to have our own little merch that we can just have sit there.
Merch, yeah.
You
You have no idea what the show is, do you?
Chicken Nick? I hear you guys talk about it every 5 minutes.
Yeah. Every 5 minutes.
I've listened to it for months. I just wonder, like, I wish, I don't know, maybe you have thought on this. How do we help people see, how do I help myself see my true view of God? I don't know if there's a way to do it. I think one way is like, when you mess up and sin, how do you think about God? Because it's like I could say God's all loving and generous and forgiving, and then I go mess up. It's like, God, you don't want to be around me right now for a couple of days. Let me just like. I just wish there was a way where it's like, and that's maybe part of the whole point of sanctification. It's like I was reading Romans. It's like, may the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you believe. Like it's a process of believing right things about life, but about God. So maybe that's just part of it. But it just is like nothing goes back.
I think a lot of times what we really believe about God is revealed in crisis, right? Now you can't fabricate crisis. So when you're working with middle schoolers, you can't, it seems to me like our job and your job in that moment is, and all of us as believers, like how do we keep filling our mind with what is true? So,
right.
But often we aren't aware of what we really believe until something happens that reveals that belief,
So you can't curate it. Create or curate?
Those are two very different things depending on the context in which you would like to say the rest of your sentence.
Yeah, you can't
curate a situation.
No, create. You can't create a situation.
Create makes more sense in that.
But curate would work.
It wouldn't. I would understand what you meant, but it would probably.
So that's enough for me.
Okay.
I don't need anything beyond that.
Great.
So it's like I can't say. Literally, I was like picturing like let's just stage a
Mission Impossible
power outage.
Yeah.
And then flood.
Like
and then,
Dwight Schrute.
Yeah.
The
fire's
office is
shooting at
burning
us.
down. Yeah.
And then it'd be like, what do the students believe about God right there?
Yeah. What'd you just how'd you all feel? Did
God's
you get
still
nervous?
loving now?
Yeah.
That would not be good.
No.
I feel like you just have to talk about it. Like if you like, that's the thing early in Laura and our marriage. Like people would ask about what are like cultural differences that you're finding, and you really don't know until you're talking about something, and the other person goes like, "What? Like, what are you talking about? What do you mean that you did this thing growing up? Like that doesn't make any sense."
So back to prayer, then it could be, what do you pray about, and what does it reveal about your view of God?
Sure.
So it's like if I'm only asking for, I don't know.
Yeah, but it also seems like if all of us would be reflective, we encounter things every day that reveal what we really believe about God. A day doesn't go by, probably an hour doesn't go by that we aren't encountered with some fear or some concern or some anxiety that ultimately reveals that we're believing false things about God.
Right.
Take something like, go back to our football thing, the degree to which I'm devastated might reveal something about what I believe is necessary in my life to be happy. Whether or not God provides me with everything I need. What happens if I pray that my team wins and he doesn't? What's that say about God? Am I mad at him? Am I disappointed in him? Does he diminish in my mind? Or if I decide, like you said earlier, we're entering the season that the next 4 months of your life are dictated by 18-year-old athletes' performance on the field. You were joking, but it's also like
not really.
But it's also like, that says something about is God the kind of God that provides us with everything we need? Do I believe that? And if I believe that, then why am I so upset all the time? So it seems like all of us have moments every day.
There's plenty of moments for it to be
that reveal, but you do need people in the lives of students and in our own lives. We either need times where we're reflective and we think about that, or you need people who are really good at asking that question.
Like, why are you so mad? Why you want to go cry after the middle schooler called out your game?
No. But also why when a student is talking about something that's difficult at school, with a friend, a group of friends or whatever. There's comfort that you're trying to bring in that moment, but also that could reveal a degree to which that person's well-being is grounded on whether this friend thinks the right things about them or whatever. And all of those are moments that we can teach,
Right.
And so it does seem like what's Paul say in 2 Corinthians, these light momentary afflictions are producing in us an eternal weight of glory. How do I allow light momentary afflictions to reveal things about me that then I say to the Lord, help me now. Help me in this. Help me think rightly about you. I'm going to grab a book because there's a good A.W. Tozer quote. He says that our idea of God correspond as nearly as possible to the true being of God is of immense importance to us.
Okay, dumb that down.
Dumb that down?
Yeah.
So that my idea of God be as close as possible to God as he actually is, not a caricature of him, not
character. So those are also different words. Character and
Oh my
character.
gosh.
Okay, keep going.
If you title this pod, it needs to be Aidan learns vocabulary.
words.
Curate,
a
character.
A character is a person in or a subject in a thing. A caricature is like an exaggeration of something.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be like if you go to the beach and someone draws you
Yeah.
and they make a part of your face.
Go
Yeah.
ahead, say something.
That's
I'm
called a
not gonna say
caricature
my
because it's
no,
an
I'm not gonna
exaggeration.
say- I'm not
Make my
gonna say
forehead
anything
bigger.
that-
Keep
yeah.
looking at it.
You couldn't possibly draw your forehead bigger. Go ahead.
Oh my gosh. That our idea of God correspond as nearly as possible to the true being of God is of immense importance to us. Compared to our actual thoughts about him, our creedal statements are of little consequence. Creedal statements is like
I know what that word means.
the things that we say that
Creeds. What our statements of
creeds,
belief.
but I'd also say what we sing about him. So these professions we make. So what we actually believe is way more important than what we profess to be true, because belief shapes our life. So then this is the part. Our real idea of God may lie buried under the rubbish of conventional religious notions and may require an intelligent and vigorous search before it is finally unearthed and exposed for what it is. Only after an ordeal of painful self-probing are we likely to discover what we actually believe about God. So with your students, it's like, how do we help them when they're going through ordeals understand that underneath some of that stuff lies a view of God that is very critical and that's shaping their life? And then, in that moment, you have an opportunity to teach and to correct and start to say, okay, now, Brian, the title of Brian's book is great. God's not like that. That's such a good,
Right.
practical title, and it seems like that's part of what you got to do. Before that, because you can't do that, sometimes you can't do that until a crisis occurs. Before that, though, you can teach just what is actually true about God.
But I would even say too, like there are more in crises and afflictions and ordeals like that. But like, I'd be curious to ask student, like, when you do well on a test, do you think God's celebrating you? Like, I think if someone would ask me that, I'd have been like, no, he doesn't really care about that. Or it's like, So that, I feel like there'll also be moments, like you said, there's moments of all over every day that can be moments of like, God, why do I feel like you're negative towards me? Or why do you, whatever. But yeah, moments of celebration where it's like, do you think God is like pumped that you got that game-winning soccer goal? It's like, no, it's a game. It's like, okay, that reveals something about your view of God. It's like, no, because he's mad that I didn't play that well, or he's mad that I shouldn't celebrate it as something so small. It's a silly soccer game. Yeah. I literally was like, for the greenhouse, I was literally thinking of like, can I curate something that would help them see their view of God? And it's like, no, they got to live a little bit. Got to live a little bit.
I mean, you probably could. You probably could, but I don't know that you could do it where it would be something that would incite fear or something like that. But I think
I could put fear.
And you could just go through God's not like that. Didn't Brian say that? I haven't read it. I'm sorry, but isn't there some like structure to it of like taking you through like breaking down?
Very practical exercises and things to help you think about that. Next question.
Oh, wow.
I have a lunch at 11:30.
I don't know what time it is. 11:22.
11:22.
Great. Well, I mean, this is a great episode. I think this has been a really interesting conversation. I'm really excited
Yeah,
to put this
I
together.
like it.
I think there's a lot
We
of
don't
value
even need their
here.
questions anymore.
Okay.
No,
No,
just
please send in your
Please.
questions to Lincoln Berean. No.
Can we do a like question?
Don't just sit there, pod
Yes.
at lincolnberean.org or comment on Spotify. Stop it.
Why? Do it together.
Or on YouTube.
YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we end on a softball? Because that was heavy.
You want a light question to close?
Yeah.
In 7 minutes.
You come up with a light question. You're
Okay.
good at those.
If
Pretty good.
where
Yep.
if you
Mm-hmm.
what
Yep.
if you had a nuke one fast food restaurant chain from existence?
Eliminate. You're going to eliminate one fast food restaurant.
If you had to get rid of a fast food restaurant chain, has to have a drive-through, has to be in at least 2 states. What would it be? No one dies, just the chain's gone. There's a correct answer to this, but I want to hear what you guys think.
Long John Silver.
Silver's, first of all. But yes, that's the right answer.
That's a strong answer. I don't think
Strong?
I don't think there's a better answer.
Okay, but you can't repeat it. Give us one. You have hot takes, bro. You're Sam's dad. You got to be pretty picky on food.
I had to eliminate one fast
There's
food.
obvious another answer that's really obvious.
There is another obvious one.
Really?
Think about what's closing all over Lincoln. Think about
Burger
has
King?
tons of Burger King.
Oh man, I love Burger King.
What do you get there?
No, I like one of their hamburgers are so much better than McDonald's hamburgers.
Oh man,
I was gonna say McDonald's, man. I was gonna shut down McDonald's.
the snack wraps. They have the new snack wraps.
At McDonald's, I don't know what those are.
They're just
It's like a snack wrap. It's like a snack,
what
but it's
snack
wrapped
wrap
up.
is?
No, I don't know what a snack.
You
wrap
take a
is.
snack and then you wrap it up.
Ah,
You embarrass me.
It's wrapped up
I
snack.
would say this, and I'm going to stand on this.
the only answer is Long John Silver's.
Can I say one that's going to get
Yeah.
me fired? Chick-fil-A.
Wow.
You'd shut down Chick-fil-A.
Overpriced.
Hey, I
Touched me with your foot.
think they're. I think they're.
So
You got to be
chest.
careful. You got to be careful. Like I have a friend that works for Chick-fil-A, so you got to be careful here. Okay.
Yeah,
listen
you
to the
can't shut
podcast.
down anywhere that Ryan has a friend that works there.
Scooters.
Be careful.
Overpriced.
I have friends that own scooters. We got to be careful about all that stuff.
Whoa.
Anyways, overpriced.
How about this? Let's go a different question that's not as negative, that might not hurt people's ability to put food on the table.
Fast food specifically.
If you had to eat at one fast food restaurant,
Chipotle. Next one.
For the rest of your life, is
Chipotle.
that it?
okay,
What would you say?
Chick-fil-A.
Wow.
I'd probably go Chipotle. I love Chipotle.
I love Chipotle. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Send us your questions. Are we going to mention anything about our plan for a future podcast? Or just
I don't
say
think
that-
we really have a plan
I don't
yet.
think we have what the next episode is at the
No, I
moment.
plan for when. All right. Thanks for listening. We love you all. Ryan loves you guys the most. We'll talk later. Bye.